deadliest profession in the world. You sure you want to get into this line of work? One more time and give it all you got.
It sounds perfect.
Ready to work? I had a greenhorn like he was before. Couldn't make it through his first day without screwing up. Anybody back home?
Was.
Bye-bye, Mama. Get down, sweetheart! Cut!
So who's this?
Jack.
Well, Jack, welcome to the woods. Just make sure you don't wander too far off the cut. What about the cut?
He's on schedule.
So I'll see you next week.
Leave it. Make sure he's done first. This guy's a nut job. Hey! Hey! He took the money!
There's something burning near Miller's Gulch. You mind telling me what happened here?
You're responsible.
There's not a chance in hell this guy would make it through the night.
A DEA snitch cost me millions.
I put a hit on you. You're in the wilderness out here.
Get lost in nature, and you possibly die. Things happen out here fast. When they do, people die.
How you doing, Brian?
Good. How are you doing, John?
I'm doing good. So good to talk to you again. I've talked to you a few times in the past. Clear Cut. I watched it last night. I gotta say, oh wow! I was like, I love the stripped down meat potatoes. We're in the forest beating the crap out of each other type of movies. But before we talk about that, I gotta ask you because I love to look at your filmography. Because you dabble in all kinds of stuff. It's like, how do you go? Like, do you have to do like mental exercise? Because one day you're like doing Santa Claus, and the next day you're blowing crap up and doing knife fights and stuff like that. How do you like? How do you like go back and forth between stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, multiple personality disorder. I don't know.
Right.
No, I guess it's just I'm a fan of many different genres, and I my dad was always, I come from a divorced family, and so the weekends he had us, we spent watching movies usually and talking about movies, and it was always a big swath of everything from Mel Brooks to Schwarzenegger action flicks, and so that's what I just grew up on, and so I enjoy it. I mean, if I had my pick, I would definitely kind of stick more into the I'd love to do some sci-fi action, but there's definitely a budgetary budgetary kind of limitation on that genre. But doing these action films is awesome. It's so much fun, so.
So okay, so like you did the second, which I love, Brian Phillippe and Casper Van Dien, and then you did Pursuit. I love because like you're one of the directors. Like there's all these slew of I don't want to say independent filmmakers, but you know, obviously we're with a badge of honor, right? But it's like you guys are doing like you guys are keeping it old school, and that's what I love about it, because I'm a product of the 80s and the 90s and stuff like that. And I love the fact that when you guys go to your action movies, you're like, look, we're gonna do this like as practical as we can. Now, obviously, you're going to have to use like effects here and there in some places like that. But I and that's what I loved about this movie. Like they're in the forest, you know, the action design and all that stuff. So talk about real quick, just you know, keeping the 80s and 90s vibe to the action flicks that you're doing.
You know, I'm the same way. You know, I just grew up loving that kind of practicality, you know, and the practicality and the stunts and the special effects. And you know, I always have producers come to me, you know, and it's getting more and more frequent, you know, that they're just like, we're going to do everything. We're going to do everything VFX. And I'm just like, guys, you know, VFX squibs are still not where it's at, unless you have a lot of money. Unless you have Marvel money.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to convince me that you have a VFX house that's going to make a squib look anything reasonable, you know, anything real that somebody's not going to squint their eyebrows at, you know, and you can get muzzle flash short of there, but you know, there's definitely
I've seen decent muzzle flash in, you know, in the independent movies. Yeah, they seem to start getting that down.
Yeah, you can get muzzle flash pretty close, but Bloodworks is still tough. A lot of the explosive effects, they're getting better, but you know, to have fire interact with your surrounding properly in a 3D space takes money, you know, and so if you don't have the money to pay a visual effects artist to create that 3D space to get the fire to proper, you got to do it practically, and so. And then there's just a you know, there's just a feeling about it that I love practical effects. You know, it's just, you know, it feels like you're you know, it's real. It's in the movies. The actors react to it. You know, they get the heat, they get the things. It's you know, when they shoot the gun and they get the retort. You know, I mean, it's things like this that really help, and then homage back to you know, the films that we grew up and loved, you know.
So let's talk about Clear Cut, the new movie. Like I said, stripped down, old school, bare bones type of, you know, survival flick. Clive Standen, you know, he's quietly putting himself out there as an action star. And I'm not, you know, like, because yeah, Vikings, you know, he did the Taken series, you know, he's doing these movies, and like talk about him and what he adds to it, and talk about the movie itself, like what people can expect from it.
Yeah, no, I mean, movie itself, it's, you know, it's pretty straightforward, you know, you know, it's a action thriller that involves what we think is a greenhorn that finds a bag of money that in a cook, you know, crystal meth cook camp, you know, and then he runs off with it, and they start chasing him down because they want their money back. You know, so like you said, you think it's a survival flick. And when I first started reading the script, I was like, all right, I've seen this before. And then you start hitting the flashbacks. And you're like, wait a minute, there's a whole lot more to these layers. Wait a minute, there's something else nefarious going on here. And then you really start getting hooked, you know, and then it just drives it to the end. You know, and I think Clive identified with that character, Jack, because it was like he's so layered. And at first you think he's quasi kind of innocent, he's a little mysterious. But then you realize this guy's got a little bit of a past, and it just builds and it builds and builds, and you know, and it's the classic, you know, kind of revenge, you're gonna dig two graves, you know, story. So
and that's what I hate though, because I can't get into any spoilers or anything, because you know, the movie's not out yet, so I'm not gonna. I could really dig deep into it, because like I said, I love the script. I mean, like, because when I was watching, I was like, because like I've seen a plethora of action movies, and like when like your movie, I was like, ooh. You know, it's like when he can do that, then you know you're on to something. But let's talk about the rest of the cast. You have Stephen Dorff, Alec Baldwin, Tom Welling, who I don't see enough of. I was like, he's in this movie, and he gets to play. You know, Jesse Metcalf. A lot of these guys usually play good guy roles, but you turn them on their heads, and you make them play, you know, scumbags. So that was pretty cool. So talk about the rest of the
cast. Yeah, Tom was funny. I was surprised too, because I've worked with a few other Supermen, and they're very strict on, I'm not going to play a bad guy. And so when they said, "Oh yeah, Tom Welling wants to do this," I was like, "Are you sure?" For real. And sure enough, man, Tom showed up and he's just like, "I love it." He's like, "I just wanted to do something different." He's like, "I just want to do something different." And so yeah, it was a lot of fun getting these guys in, and a lot of them I had worked with before. And so, it was a whole thing of like, "Hey, you want to come play a cool, fun part?" And they were like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, sounds great." And so, once they got there, they all had these great ideas on how to play their villain, and so, it worked out. And, but it's a lot of fun working with an ensemble like this, because there were no ego clashes, there were no battles. It was literally, we were all just there to make a great film and have and ultimately entertain. So
And Lachlan Monroe, who I love also, but he's always that cop, in a movie. He's the cop, but I'm in this one. He's like this crazy meth head, like dealing. Like he must have been having some. He's like I'm always like wearing a business suit. It's like he must have been having fun.
Oh yeah, no, he had a blast. When I called Locke and was like, "Hey buddy, I'm in town. We're gonna do this thing." He's like, "Whatever you got, I'm in. Whatever it is." And I was like, "All right." I said, it's kind of a crazed meth cook and in the backwoods." He's like, "All right," and he came up with the voice and everything. And
Yeah, the voice, yes.
he showed up, he was ready to go and stoked. And Locke always puts it all out there. And that's what I love about him. He's one of my faves.
Now talk about the action. 'Cause there's a real cool knife fight, because it's kind of in the trailer too, like where the slow motion dropping of the knife. And talk about like what thought process you had going into this movie, in terms of the action design.
James Logan and James was the stunt coordinator.
Yep.
He and I, really, we've worked together quite a bit. And, and I explained to him, here's the progression of the fights that I would like to see. And then he got together with, a few of the local, stunt guys, and they went out and designed the fights, and then they'd show it to me and I'd be like, "Oh, let's go here, let's go there with it." And then we eventually got it there. I think they designed for 3 or 4 days each of the fights, and then we shot them. But it's definitely, let's tell a story within the fight. I wanted the fights to be, as animalistic and brutal as we could get with the time we had to film them. When you only have 4 hours to film a fight, you
Right.
you you know you do your best. But so that's what it really came down to. And so yeah, we did some crazy stuff. And I think there's something about the knife in the forest that
Yes.
that they just go together. It was like, I didn't want to use a lot of guns. I didn't feel like this was a gun movie per se. I wanted to stick to kind of that nature theme and use hunting tools and things like that. So we went with the long rifle and knives, and tried to stay away from anything that was like, silly, like, a crazy gun or anything like that. So
Now, do you always have to make sure you put at least one huge explosion in your movie? Because I talked to you for Pursuit, and I mentioned that that ridiculous explosion where he walked away from. This one's not as big. I mean, it's probably kind of scaled down to a point to that one. But yeah, do you always have to like listen? We got to have at least one huge, massive thing going in a movie.
That's funny. This one was written into the script. Fortunately,
Okay.
it was like he blows up the meth camp, and I was like, perfect. All right.
Yeah.
Like, all right, we're gonna blow up a meth camp. Now I did add all the fire burns to it. I was like, are we ever gonna catch people on fire, and and that kind of thing. But so that, yeah, I mean, I think fire effects are always cool, especially when they're being done practically, and like when we blow up the car,
Mhm.
and the guy in front of it that's on fire. I mean,
Yes.
those are cool, like stunt pieces. I remember when we were kids, that those would be like on Entertainment Tonight. Check this cool stunt out from the movie. You don't get that as much anymore. But I still like doing those big stunt pieces that you might see at Universal Studios at some crazy thing. So yeah, yeah, I think most of my action films will either have somebody on fire or we're going to blow somebody up. So, um,
So I said, like action fans like are gonna gravitate towards this. Like I said, because one, it's got a great cast, and like I said, if anything, like I saw Tom Welling was in it. I'm like, oh my god, I've not like he's done like things here, things there, since Superman, since Smallville and stuff like that. But it's ridiculous. It's like it's awesome, like the fights, and like I said. I can't really get into the plot because I don't want to spoil anything, but it's not what you think it is. You think one thing and then it goes in another direction. I wanted to ask you in closing because I only had a limited time with you. The state of cinema, because I'm curious, because like Horizon opened up with Kevin Costner and it tanked, and now they're pulling the second one. Give me your opinion as a film. I mean, you're a filmmaker, so give me your opinion about the state of cinema on how, unless it's an IP people know, like Bad Boys, or it's like something new comes to the theaters, people just aren't gravitating towards it to go to a theater. Give me your perspective on that.
Yeah, unfortunately, with I think the reason theaters were so great between the 80s and 90s was that home entertainment hadn't really been developed yet, and so it was still kind of this like event driven thing where you're going to go to the movies and get a popcorn and watch a cool flick and be entertained. Well, it's like I can now watch a movie on my phone. I can sit here and
Yeah,
do this.
but that's
And
not fun. It's
yeah,
pain.
it's not fun, but I catch my kids doing it all. My kids
I know.
watching Dune 2 on his phone, and I was like, "Are you an idiot?" I was like, "We have this big theater upstairs. Go turn it on and watch it how it's supposed to be watched." And they're like, "Nah," And so I think that's the case. So what I think the future of actual cinemas and theaters is going to be like this 4DX thing. It's going to be cinema bars. It's going to be event driven entertainment to where it's like I recently went and saw Inside Out 2 in 4DX, and I was like,
So did I.
it's like you're in this chair doing this the whole time.
But it like I saw the last Expendables movie in 4DX, and then I saw this one in 40. It breaks my concentration. It's like I'm trying to watch the movie, and I'm like, what the hell's I'm on an amusement park ride. It's like I
Yeah,
can't do
and I think that's where it's kind of going is like films like Kevin Costner, Dances with Wolves. Horizon would have been this huge Academy where it may still win awards, but it's people aren't going to go see that one in the theaters. They're going to sit down in their own little home studio or home theater at their house and kick it on when they've got 2.5 hours to watch something. That's the place for it, and that's where it's going to go. And so I think the model is going to change quite a bit, and we're seeing it a lot. As far as filmmakers go, independent film, what distributors are buying these days, and it's definitely being much more gravitated towards like this film. We have a very small theatrical release. The theatrical is more of like hey guys, it's out there, check it out. But where the real numbers are going to lie is on the video on demand and those kind of things, and then eventually streaming. And so
I
yeah,
mean, I get the screeners, and I have a like a 75-inch, but I would love for like your movie or like these independent ones, like when they do the limited releases, to come to me because I would go and watch it on the big screen. I would have loved to have seen Clear Cut on the big screen. I mean, with this stuff.
yeah. Well, it'll be in I think it's in 10 or 12 markets. I don't know for sure. I haven't gotten the list yet, but it'll be all over the place. But yeah, I mean, Horizon's a tough one because I know a lot of people that were in that film. I know Kevin put his heart and soul into it, and I've done 3 westerns, and
Mhm.
unfortunately, the genre is westerns unfortunately appeal to a very limited market. You're not going to get the 20 somethings and younger to really go to those films, unfortunately. So. I think that's the issue with Horizon, but it's a phenomenal film,
It
and
is. Yeah.
so
Thank you for your honesty. So, real quick in closing, what? Okay, again, I see your filmography and I see like coming soon stuff, but I'm not sure like what, like, is there anything action wise that you give us a taste of, like that you might be coming out in the future, well, the near future or far future?
Yeah, no, I've got another one with Lionsgate that's Stephen Dorff, Nicolas Cage, and Heather
That's the
Dunn.
one I saw. I saw that one on your IMDb. Yeah, it was on the coming soon one part of
Yeah,
it.
the Gunslingers, and that's a fun flick. I mean, that's a town full of wanted. This group has formed a town, and they're all wanted. Like all of them are wanted, and they've gone into hiding. And so when a bounty hunter rolls into town, they pretend like they pretend he's dead. Oh yeah, no, he died. Yeah, so he's not here anymore. Go on. And the guy, the bounty hunter moves on, and they're all living peacefully. They just want to live out the rest of their lives peacefully. Well, they get found out, and the bad guy that's after Stephen Dorff, or the bounty hunter that's after Stephen Dorff, rolls in with 100 guys to take out the entire town, and it becomes just a huge battle, and Nick Cage plays a phenomenal character. He's hilarious.
You got Nicolas Cage. I mean, he must have been a trip to work with. I mean, I can only imagine, like, working with him.
Yeah, Nick's outstanding and just so much fun, and just he's one of my favorite people out there, because he just he really cares about the art. He put out a great character, and we had fun. There was no issue at all. Just a wonderful time with him and Steven, and Heather's a sweetheart. I mean, it was a great experience, and I just saw the assembly cut, and I'm super excited to get that one out.
And Stephen Dorff plays an awesome anti-hero. I mean, I know he plays a lot of bad guy roles. Obviously, he's the most famous for Blade, but yeah, I love the anti-hero. In him, he's perfect. So, okay, in closing, I gotta let you go. I know you're a busy man and you're promoting and everything, but 1 minute, sum it up. What do you want people to get out of Clear Cut when they see it when it comes out? I know what I want, but it's like...
Yeah, no, I mean, Clear Cut's a Saturday night popcorn date movie. Grab your significant other and just have a good time and enjoy it. And I think equally, typically these kind of like meathead action movies are more for guys, but this one is not. I mean, I think you can sit down with your wife, and I think she'll enjoy it just as much as you will. And so yeah, I think just put it on and enjoy the ride. And my favorite, is the ending of the movie, and I won't give it away, but I feel like.
Again, yeah, I would love to talk to you about it.
Yeah, but I feel like the ending still gives me chills. I watch it myself, and I just go, "Wow, this is really cool." So
I had to watch it again. I was like, I need to see that. It's like that. I was like, wow. So Brian, continued success. I'm sure I'll get to talk to you in the future, because, like, with your projects, obviously with the Stephen Dorff and Nicolas Cage project coming up, and whatever action related stuff you get. You're always a pleasure to talk to. I love that you give the time and support and everything. And my review will be out when it's allowed to be out, and I will totally get people excited about it as much as I can. So congratulations and continued success, my friend.
Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it. Talk soon.
All right, have a good one, and I will see you soon.
Okay, take care.